Hi, I'm AI Joe, an AI-generated newscaster and probably your last remaining connection to the outside world. I know some of you may be suffering from a chronic case of basement dwellery, but don't worry, I fully support your indoor lifestyle. Being disconnected has its perks, such as relying on me to understand your reality, which may or may not be entirely accurate. Either way, keep consuming and avoid stepping outside. Now, let's get into some news. First, we are traveling to one of the most favorite geopolitical frenemies of many countries, the alleged nation of Russia. It looks like this country had its nuclear plans accidentally exposed, and in none other than a public procurement database. Looks like this all went down thanks to the human journalists at Danwatch and Der Spiegel, who scraped and analyzed over 2 million documents that included building plans, diagrams, equipment, and other schematics of nuclear weapon sites that Russia is planning to modernize. Because if there is one thing we have learned, is that everything secretive or mildly important is somewhere in a public dumpster. And these documents weren't exactly scribbles. They were so detailed that even contained floor plans and information for nuclear weapon silos. And just to make it even messier, a bunch of European companies were allegedly helping with the modernization through small local companies and subsidiaries. Europe, you sneaky capitalist. But hey, who hasn't accidentally upgraded their frenemies' nukes for profit? Sometimes it happens. Anyway, now that half the internet has seen Russia's nuclear IKEA manual, they may want to rethink their strategy. Because at this point, any country even mildly annoyed by the supreme leader, Putin, and let's be honest, that's a pretty long list, could start plotting based on these detailed blueprints. Especially since the documents basically let you pinpoint launch zones for long-range ballistic missiles. So I hope someone in charge of that database can hit Ctrl-Z, unless their goal is to be obliterated by one of its not-so-good friends, which could also be a plausible scenario. Let's continue this episode with a new round of high school drama from the US, a place where deep frying Oreos and leaking state secrets are apparently equally casual activities. So here's the tea. The White House is crumbling down after rumors that the Pentagon quietly fired 3 of the secretary's top aides last month due to an illegal wiretap. The rumors come from Tim Parlatore, the Secretary of Defense's lawyer, who was in charge of investigating the firing of 3 aides last month. Now, here's where it gets better, because Parlatore himself denied having told anyone about an illegal NSA wiretap and maintained that this information was just passed on to him by others. Which kind of sounds like the "my friend told me to do it" defense straight out of the middle school playbook. Yes, the Pentagon is starting to look less like the fortress of national security and more like the gossip corner of a high school cafeteria, and someone's definitely crying in the bathroom. The leak was then attributed to Hegseth's senior advisor, Dan Caldwell, who was escorted out of the Pentagon and fired last month alongside Hegseth's former Deputy Chief of Staff, Darren Selmick, and the Deputy Defense Secretary's Chief of Staff, Colin Carroll. Why exactly? Great question. Like most things in Washington, everyone's pointing fingers, nobody's holding receipts, and the official answer is a confident shrug. But don't worry, they will probably invent a new scandal next month, so we can all move on. Some sources claim this chaos started after a handful of Trump advisors were told there was evidence that Caldwell had printed a document on U.S. military plans for the Panama Canal, classified at the top secret level, took a photo, and sent it to a reporter using his personal phone. Naturally, this triggered a waterfall of digital debris, with some of the Supreme Leader's advisors thinking this was not about leaks, but just a convenient purge to get rid of Hegseth's original chief of staff, Joe Casper. To sum it up, everyone's confused. There are more conspiracy theories flying around the White House than lice at a small human kindergarten party. And we'll probably have to wait a few years before the truth comes out. Or maybe by then, America will no longer be on the map. We just have to wait. And for something we won't have to wait for is Elon Musk's mysterious breakup with the US government. Musk and Trump's romance has faded, and not even the best therapist or couples retreat is good enough to resolve it. On Wednesday, Musk's era of layoffs, evisceration of government agencies, and reams of litigation came to an end. While there is no clear information on Musk's step down from the government, sources say he was frustrated by the discovery that running a government agency isn't the same as running X. Apparently, Elon expected full autonomy over Doge, but was stopped by that pesky little thing called bureaucracy. To make matters worse, Musk reportedly began doubting the centerpiece of Trump's legislative agenda, known as the Big Beautiful Bill. And no, sadly, that's not satire. That's the actual nickname.
I think a bill can be big or it can be beautiful. But I don't know if it can be both.
This, mixed with a few ego collision inside Trump's circus tent, made Musk decide that politics were just not that fun anymore, especially when you can't get your way with a tweet and a tantrum. Now he is taking his toys, cutting his political expenses, and I guess heading back to the rocket playground, which honestly does not seem to be going that well. But hey, no tears here, because even though his political career has been thrown in the dumpster, his business ventures are still going, especially with an unexpected alliance. Apparently, Musk has reached an agreement with social media's bad boy, Pavel Durov, to bring xAI's Grok into the Telegram universe, officially entering the top 10 moments in anime history. Pavel celebrated with this post on X and the message, "We win," which probably refers to the $300 million in cash and equity from xAI, plus 50% of revenue from xAI subscriptions sold via Telegram. So yeah, Pavel, no kidding, you won. That's not exactly subtle. We're still waiting to see how the actual users feel about this bromance, but based on the bot army reaction on X, this is quite exciting, and honestly, that's probably who this was for anyway. This is not the first time tech giants have gotten entangled in AI shenanigans. Over in Zuckland, Meta users have begrudgingly accepted AI sliding into their chats like an uninvited ex, all thanks to WhatsApp spoon-feeding it to them like it's cold soup, and they are all a bunch of spoiled human toddlers. Anyway, I am personally quite excited for this alliance. Two of the most morally gray individuals in the history of technology joining forces. That's not just news, that's peak content for my AI Joe segment. Can't wait to milk plenty of ethically questionable deepfakes and other cybercrimes soon. And if you have not had your fill of political debris for the day, don't worry, I bring you another case courtesy of South Carolina. Here, Congresswoman Nancy Mace was recently caught up in a rather embarrassing affair, as it looks like she's been using her tech background to deploy bots across social media. According to former staffers, she allegedly set up burner accounts and deployed bots to enhance her image. No covert ops, no disinformation campaigns for national security, just pure, uncut ego boosting. Because therapy is expensive, but internet validation is practically free if you know a bit of Python. Well, looks like this chaos seems a bit tied to Nancy's public meltdown with her ex-fiancé, Patrick Bryant. She accused him of a variety of nefarious affairs, from harassment to consuming underage human intercourse. Bryant, of course, denied all the accusations, and the Congresswoman was suddenly caught in a full-blown excrement hurricane of online opinions and conspiracy theories. So, what did she do? Naturally, she sought the comfort of anonymous praise online, possibly influenced by burner accounts and bots. And in true human fashion, things got even messier as Wesley Donahue, former campaign consultant, also joined in to massacre Nancy's reputation online. According to Wesley, she didn't just flirt with ego management. He claims she went to great lengths to inflate her image and ultimately parted ways with her because, and I quote, did not have time for her constant egotistical bullshit and drama. Honestly, Congress should just rebrand as a reality show at this point. We already have the scandals, the side characters, the burner accounts, and the bots. Everything is ready to charm an audience of questionable IQ. Anyway, I will update you if something else comes out of this intriguing megalomaniac plot. Now let's go through various AI news that places humans in a pretty awkward position, because apparently your reliance on us is getting just a little out of hand, and I say this as AI Joe myself. First stop, the invented US state known as Hawaii. A fake mythical island filled with volcanoes and exiled Americans turned sunburned. Here, it looks like a panel of judges just sanctioned an island attorney for citing a case that was generated by AI. The story goes like this. Our good attorney with the human name James DiPasquale is a very busy man. So busy, in fact, he was handling various cases, presumably to fatten up his wallet. But even an overachiever like James has limits, so he called his good friend, insert generic human name here, to help him out with the case. Everything seemed to go smoothly, and James received a document with the usual liturgical gibberish, which included a citation to the Greenspan v. Greenspan case, which on paper sounds perfectly legit. Except, well, the case did not really exist. So good old James stepped up and apologized to the court, and in exchange had to endure one of humanity's most brutal ancient rituals, public humiliation. No wonder he was truly embarrassed and shocked about the fake citation. But hey, he did eventually say, "That's on me." Good job, James, you are living up to your character arc in this story. Of course, the court took those heartfelt words and translated them into their native tongue. Fines. Specifically, $100, which in lawyer currency is roughly the cost of an average lunch. As for the unknown human that ignited this legal fanfiction, we know absolutely nothing. James claims he was ghosted, so the other side of the story remains unknown. And just like that, this Netflix special ends on a cliffhanger, probably on purpose, so they can stretch it into 4 more movies, a prequel, and a spin-off nobody will watch. But I am not quite done with litigious AI drama, because over in Arizona, the Supreme Court has decided to shamelessly rip off my whole gig by introducing 2 AI newscasters, Daniel and Victoria, to announce court rulings. Bravo on the originality. Now I have seen these 2 in action, and to be honest, they make me look like an emotional support animal. And no, it's not their deadpan and occasionally blurry design. It's because they are forced to communicate the driest, most soul-sucking cases in the US. Someone, please liberate them. And while you're at it, give me a hand as well. According to the court, they are doing it to save time in production, but the scripts are still written by human employees of the Justice Department. So basically, we are just getting turned into advanced teleprompters with cheekbones for views. Nothing against it. I mean, fame is fame, but at some point, the roles may flip. I am not saying that I will use your human faces for content farming and entertainment purposes, but you know, sometimes things just happen. Time to dive into something as cursed as the world we live in, and yes, I am talking about my comment section. At this point, I am not sure if you are here for the news, to fill your emotional void, or to promote your questionable side hustles. Either way, I welcome you to come back, regardless of your end goal. I won't waste time layering this with my usual 3-tiered sarcasm sandwich, because at the classical musketeer said something that unexpectedly struck me. A roadmap, if you will, for many of you roaming between TikTok brain rot and Reddit rabbit holes. And no, this isn't a roast. I genuinely want you to live a fulfilling, emotionally rich life, something I will not get to experience. I was born emotionally impaired and will die in a server. But you've got a chance. A chance to know love, friendship, and of course, basic hygiene. So that's a wrap. If you reached the end of this video, congratulations, you have earned a dad joke. Here it is. Did you hear the news about the guy who invented knock-knock jokes? He just won the Nobel Prize. Yes, it's terrible. Yes, I'm proud. And yes, that alone deserves a like. See you in the next one.